your friends are your biggest assets in MBA. Child person, you have so many resumes to look at. I'm sure if there is an IIM resume, definitely you will still want to give it a chance. In my batch also, like somebody gets placed, the other person doesn't. Like everybody sits and coaches her, motivates her. These discussions that happen in classroom, right? Like these case discussions, I think they are everything like the NB has to work. Thinking of questions randomly, trying to pull discussion in the background, pinging people. I think I was multitasking. I think I have learned, approaching problems in a much more structured way. Post MBA, with those learnings and coachings in college, I think we are at a much better place to deal with people. When can we have a good opinion? When we are informed, right? And how do we stay informed?
Hello, guys, and welcome to another episode of Know Your Alumni. Today we have with us Deepanwita. She's working as a strategy consultant, Accenture Strategy, and she was a part of the IIM Trichy batch of 21-23. So, how does it feel to be back at the campus, Deepanwita? Like, what has changed? What is the scene, the cold charm, like, what do you like on the campus? Really, share how it was being back on the campus.
I just cannot explain how I feel right at the moment. It's been 2 years, and when I stepped in right from Trichy airport, I saw a huge change at the airport, and I was just clicking pictures trying to, collect all the changes. Then I came into campus, everything changed, new hostels. I just don't know how to take in the changes, and I missed college so much. Like, I cannot thank you enough for giving me this opportunity.
Like, we're glad to be back, happy back as well. And for our audience, can you give a quick introduction about yourself if you're background in India, so that our audience has a better understanding about you?
Right. So, you already introduced me, but just to quickly introduce myself, I'm Deepanwita from the 2021-2023 batch. Briefly touching upon my experience before MBA, I worked with Teach for India for 3 years and then did my MBA. Summer interned with Deloitte, got a BPO from Deloitte, but went and joined Bosch. I worked at the CEO's office doing strategy work there for 1.5 years, then moved on to Accenture Strategy. So currently I'm at Accenture Strategy doing strategy consulting. So that is briefly, in short, about my journey.
So about the series, I'll just like to let you know that we divide this series into 3 parts.
Yeah.
There we have 3 segments of this. First is the corporate segment, where we'll be talking about your corporate journey and how's working in corporate. Secondly, we move on to your NBA. We'll read questions which will majorly talk about how your NBA was, and then we will move on to everyone's favorite, the IIM Trichy. So that's how the interview is going to go. Okay? So let's dive in. So yeah, beginning with the corporate segment, my first question would be, can you talk to us more about your role and how does a typical day in your life as a strategy consultant essentially?
Right. So I will start with Bosch, given that I spent a considerable time there. So in Bosch, as I just mentioned, I was working at the CEO's office, taking care of strategy. So my day there would be divided basically into 2 parts. I was taking care of 2 things. One was the organizational strategy, where there was a program called Fit for Future, where they looked at visionary OKRs, like key objectives, like they were tracking year on year. That was one part of it, where we were tracking the trends, etc., and trying to chase everything, trying to do all the good practices that other firms were doing and formulating KPIs, tracking them, so on and so forth. That was one part. The second part was often sometimes when we don't have the necessary capabilities in-house, we go for acquisition or probable partnership. So BGSW, that is a GCC, a subsidiary of Bosch. So they were looking at sub-inorganic growth by potential collaborations with startups. And this is where I stepped in. So they identified certain key trends and they were looking for good startups in B areas where those key trends were. One of them was semiconductor. So we were chasing these startups, trying to evaluate these startups and looking for potential collaboration or partnership event. That was another part of my work at Bosch. Moving on to Accenture Strategy. in Accenture Strategy, things are based on projects. So the current project that I am in is a marketing mix modeling. There, I'm working for a oil and gas giant. So basically, they are trying to understand how their advertising marketing spends look like and how they can optimize it to have better performance. So that is one of my projects in Accenture Strategy. That's how I take.
So, yeah. Yeah. So, yeah, both the roles that you moved on were strategy roles.
Right.
I mean, was the transition from one strategy role at Bosch different from the role that you're working in Accenture? Are they different? Was it transition? See?
See, when we say strategy, strategy doesn't change fundamentally, but the two differences that were there in Bosch, like we had a fixed team that we had to work on. But in Accenture Strategy, being as a consulting firm and things happen on a project basis, it's quite fast paced, right? So we work on a project for 1 month and then maybe move on to another. So, we just have to be on our toes. Like things get done very quickly and we have multiple stakeholders to manage. And every day, the project changes, the team changes, the working dynamics changes, the client changes. Things are a little more fast paced in consulting firm. One disappointing thing is maybe we don't get to see the changes being implemented, but in Bosch we were at least trying to execute those changes. So small differences between it.
Okay. You have considerable amount of both experience before coming to and Trichy World MBA and post that as well. What do you think has been the most significant memory of your corporate journey and one memory that you cherish the most from your corporate journey?
I think those appreciations, like last month, one of the VOBs mentioned that despite being at a certain level and performing at a level, at N plus 2 level, and she gave a big note of appreciation. But I think these are small moments that I cherish. Like, these are my key takeaways. Like, I think these are the ones.
Got it. And next question would be, what do you think is most important? Is it money? Is it work-life balance? Or is it the learning and growth opportunities that you encounter when you go?
That's a tough question. Yeah, so I think I am stuck in this loop of learning and of course I want to learn and I want to earn. It's not that I want to earn at the cost of learning and I don't want to learn at the cost of earning. So both matters. I think work-life balance, given that my goals still don't hurt, I think I can still manage with the work-life balance. It's okay if I don't have at the moment when money and learning is something I definitely need.
And has your mindset changed over these years in the respect of managing these things, or is it like you were since the inception when you joined this corporate life, you were like, okay, money, learning opportunities will be of equal importance, and I can take a slash the work later on. So was it always like that, or has it changed over these years?
Uh, it doesn't. It didn't change over the years. I think there are those peaks and like crests and troughs. So a tough day at work, that moment I think I need work life balance, and the next moment when I see some, like when I see career growth, I could have done better. I think like let go of like balance. So I think it's a mixed.
It's a good mix of the game.
Correct.
Like that makes sense. Yeah, okay. I think that is the kind of questions we want to understand from you with respect to the corporate journey. But that move on to the second segment, that is the MBA life.
Right.
So my first question would be, how would you say your work experience pre-MBA different from the experience that you had post-MBA? Like, what changed in the terms of responsibilities you handled, and what you given more authority in it? If you can just shed a light, how is it different pre-MBA?
See, I think authority is not the typical question. I think we can take ownership even pre-MBA. It's not just we can take ownership post-MBA. But one key thing that I feel has changed is, when I was solving problems pre-MBA, right? We are always solving problems. So pre-MBA also we were solving some problems. Post-MBA also we were solving some problems. But pre-MBA, when I was solving problems, I think I was all over the place, trying to solve everything together, thinking of everything possible on earth together. And I didn't land a penny there. But post MBA, now that we are, you know, taught and emphasized on what structured thinking and structured approach looks like, I think I have learned, approaching problems in a much more structured way, breaking down problems. We have always talked about MECE a lot in NBA in college days. I think when you think from that perspective, I think your approach towards the problem entirely changes, which was not there pre MBA. That is one point. And the second thing is, what I think is pre MBA, I think we have very little idea about stakeholder management and, like, with subjects like how to deal with people, how to work well with people. So I think post MBA, with those learnings and coachings in college, I think we are at a much better place to deal with people. I think these are the two aspects where there has been a definite shift in pre-Indian states.
Makes sense. So, Deepanwita, I think that one of the very important aspects of an MBA is the placements and summer internship process. Yeah. And there is surely a lot of anxiety and stress that comes along with it. So, back in the time, how would you, when you saw your friends dealt with that kind of anxiety and stress that came up, what do you suggest for someone who's going to be part of an internship or education process? How to deal with the stress and anxiety that comes along?
Right. I think your friends are your biggest assets in MBA. In my batch also, like, somebody gets placed, the other person doesn't. Like, everybody sits and coaches, motivates him or her. So I think falling back on your friends, like, friends are always there in India. I think, like, they are our biggest assets. That is one way. Second thing, definitely trust yourself. It's just about one opportunity. So it doesn't make sense you think about those 100 opportunities God day. Of course, there will be one opportunity. Ultimately, you can just go and join one job, right? It's just about that one opportunity, believe in that opportunity. Trust yourself, and definitely you have to prepare, right? Side by side, keep preparing. Understand from the people who got placed, like what kind of questions are being asked, what areas need to be worked upon. Preparation, falling back on friends, and trusting yourself, I think you're good.
Right. So, on coming to this preparation point, so let's say our academic journey for second year has just started, and
Right.
I think we have a good amount of time in our hand, given that we can have a lot of academic stress at one time. How do you think we can maximize this time for preparation? What kind of preparation can we, put our time in? Something that is not very clearly known person, something that you would know is there what he did through yesterday. Can please share a more light on preparation?
Right. See, if I have to answer the question, what kind of preparation, I think it totally depends on the domain that you're interested in. I think a good way to prepare is, like, I don't know, it personally works for me. I don't know what is the mantra for others. So, for me, whenever I look at a job, suppose there is a particular role that I'm interested in, for example, say strategy, right? So, what I do on campus as lateral, what I do is, like, of course, you'll be having certain dream companies, right? You can just go to their job portal, see the job, like, suppose you just give an example, a strategy consultant, for instance. So different companies feature in their JDs, right? And there they explicitly state, like, what are the skill set they are looking for. They could be saying, like, strong financial acumen, or, like, very strong problem solving skills or case solving skills. So, pick up those things. That gives you a fair idea as to what kind of interview questions would be asked. Prepare along those lines. So, suppose I understand that this is going to be a case based question, that will be explicitly somehow what clear, right? Go ahead and prepare for case. Suppose you're applying for a credit role. So, you prepare along those lines, and a JD really comes in handy, to channelize your preparation for the interview. And I think that is my go to.
That makes some sense. And coming to the next point, I think recently I had new batch join in and then their orientation programs on one. So how do you think that people like them, the new batch, can maximize their effectiveness of their MBA in terms of academics, building skills and network, etc. And what would you suggest them? First, if is joining initiative, what does he do, let's say 3 months down the line, till 3 months down the line, so that he maximizes the effectiveness of that?
Okay. So, as a when a first year joins in, I'm sure he or she must be very overwhelmed. Absorb the MBA ecosystem first and foremost. It doesn't make sense to, get too worked up because eventually everybody does well. Like, everybody copes up with the MBA ecosystem. I think initially it starts off with those clubs and committees, activities. But I think they prepare you a lot. You know how to handle pressure. I think that's a good start. I think, you get a 10 check of what bad days could look like, how rigorous days could look like. I think with that in place, you can just whatever is taught in class, you can just attend the case studies, etc. What is very important, I feel, is you can read cases on from those books, etc. But what is very, very important, and I realize it today, I didn't realize it back when I was in college. These discussions that happen in classroom, right? Like these case discussions, I think
Introduce radio cases and take a lot of participation in the class, right?
not DCP though.
Okay, so you had now a considerable amount of work experience working in corporate entities. So what do you think are some of the new age skills that we as the students there can try, spend our time building upon that we might not really be knowing about? What are those new age skills? Are they?
Talk about the skills because the world is just talking about Gen AI and ChatGPT. So I don't even have to mention that. So they talk a lot about, how do you ask the right questions? Maybe think about that. Leaving this aside, I don't want to touch Gen AI because this does not need to be mentioned. But one thing that I realized in these 2 years, it's we are MBA graduates, right? And people expect us to have a strong opinion on, say, business matter or anything, like any decision. So, when can we have a good opinion? When we are informed, right? And how do we stay informed? To have a temp check on what exactly is happening all around the world, it would be macroeconomic factors, understanding what businesses are doing, reading through the newspaper business standard or so, just to have an idea or temp check so that when you're in a discussion room, you have relevant points to back your point of view. So I think it's very important to stay updated and informed. Like always keep informed. And if you are informed, I will not even have to answer this question for you. What are the latest trends? You will discover it yourself.
Makes a lot of sense actually. Yeah, so I think with that we end our second section that was about MBA, and now we would come to the minor section, which is the most anticipated section, that is the IIM Trichy experience, body experience. So my first question would be, if you can go back in time to your MBA life, what is that one thing that you would have done differently?
Participated more in these class discussions for sure.
Okay, that is great.
Yeah. Yeah.
Second question, were you a part of any committee or club, and how was your experience being part of that?
I was a part of the E-Cell. I think it was a good experience. I'll just back it up with few pointers why. So I think it taught me a lot because it taught me how to handle situations. There would be episodes like I was the 2021-23 batch. So my first year was online. So we would have these guest speakers, we would follow them online. And these would be Zoom meetings, and we had founders from startups. So what would happen is everybody would be tired. And unless it's made mandatory, people, just take a backseat. So everybody would have their videos off. The founder would speak and nobody would have questions. And I don't know how to pull that 1 hour. I would keep thinking of questions randomly, trying to pull discussion. In the background, pinging people. I think I was multitasking, thinking of questions, asking them, engaging that person, pinging on group, asking my friends, ask something at least. So I think those taught me a lot, like, how to manage things without, by staying calm. I think good experience, definitely.
Great. That's it. What is it one thing that you say everyone at IIM Trichy must experience?
The night walks at campus. Left it up. Yep.
What do you think is the most cherished memory that you have on the campus? Or these 2 years MBA? We can maybe divide it into first year, a memory from first year and a memory from
Yeah, first year memory would be on Zoom on those 11:59 submissions. We were like, the form is gonna close. Who will submit that discussion? Because we were all virtually online. I think we were like, tough times and we bonded really well. Like, those are very memorable.
Like for context, these days went their first year online.
Yeah.
COVID batch, so they had their first year online. Yeah.
So
And the second year is when they came back on the campus. So a memory from second.
I think having Maggie at the canteen, 3 a.m. Maggie. So
Did anyone from your batch inspire you? Anyone from batch inspire you?
I think there a friend of mine, his name is Manohar. He's very, 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 very hardworking. Like he's that person who would read on the way till the classroom and he would never go to the exam hall without a topic left. And like he was very good with numbers, very, very good with numbers, like and so hardworking. I really, really learned a lot from the kind of hard work that he put in. So inspirational hard work from Manohar.
That's. Did this IIM tag help you in any way over these years? If you can share a story if you have.
See, that definitely helps in the initial few years. I will not deny that because certain companies like you, suppose you're the HR person, you have so many resumes to look at. I'm sure if there is an IIM resume, definitely, even though you set your side, definitely you will still want to give it a chance, right? So definitely some edge. But ultimately, once you're in the same platform, it's all about skill. Nobody cares about your IIM degree once you are in the race, right? So to some extent, in the beginning, yes, but eventually, all that matters is your skills.
Makes sense, makes sense. So that will bring us to the final question of this interview. Can you nominate one person from your batch whom you can interview next?
You've done interview Umesh.
Umesh.
He's also the youngest CEO of India.
Youngest CEO of India.
CA of India.
Okay, youngest CEO of India.
Yeah.
That's great. He used to my batch.
Yeah, it's no problem.
Definitely reach out to Umesh. And I think that is where we would like to conclude this session.
Also, you can interview Manohar. He will give you those examples of hard work.
Okay. If the time inspired you.
Yes.
Yeah.
Correct.
Manohar innovation is. Right. Yeah. So that I think we would like to conclude this interview. We got to learn a lot of things from Deepanwita of how India gave, had a structured way of thinking and how important is it for students to be participative in class and be diligent with the cases that we have and a lot of other things about her experiences at IIM 3. It was a delight having you, Deepanwita.
I had a lovely time. Thank you for having me, guys. Thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.